We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce our speaker for you today. This is Chris Bailey. She is one of our health coaches. She's been a health coach with us for 3 years. We were just talking before we started that we think it's been at least 3 years Chris has been with us, and she's been a great member of the team. You can read a little bit about her on the screen, and she loves to work with our members. She has a life coaching certification as well as being a health coach for us. So, Chris, I'm going to turn the presentation over to you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. So, excitotoxins, why should we care about our health? Well, a lot of us, we have family goals. We want to be healthy for our family. We have personal goals of, maybe wanting to, as the picture shows, sail and just do different activities that we need to be healthy. It's no fun to travel when we're not healthy. And most important would be the cognitive function of our brain. And as we go along, you'll learn why that is so important, and keeping the excitotoxins out of our diet is important for brain health. We can go to the next slide. So truly, why should we care about our health? Well, first of all, you are worth it. And I like to use the analogy of the airplane theory. Is they always tell you in an airplane when you're traveling someone that if you have small children, to first put the oxygen mask on you before you put it on your child. And the reason for that is because you need to be able to help your child. So the reason it's important to be healthy is so that you can be there to help your family and help your friends, and just you to make yourself a priority is very important. So go ahead, next slide. So excitotoxins. So what's that? It's a big word. An excitotoxin is a chemical that causes a brain cell to become overexcited and fire uncontrollably, leading to cell death. The most common excitotoxins are aspartame, which is an artificial sweetener, and monosodium glutamate, commonly known as MSG. They have the potential for inflicting permanent damage to the brain and the nervous system. These chemicals are found in almost all processed foods. And this is just a small example of orange juice, which Sunny Delight's actually an orange product, not orange juice, and Pop-Tarts. Basically anything in a box or a bag will probably have some form of an excitotoxin in it. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So this is why it's very important to learn how to read labels. We don't want to just look at calories or total fat. We want to also look at ingredients. I think if we push enter again, the ingredient list should pop up. There we go. Okay. So the ingredients is going to actually tell us whether or not the product is healthy, because it can be very deceiving if we look at just the fat count, the carbohydrate, and the sugar. We may think, oh, well, that's healthy. But if we go to the ingredient list and it has modified cornstarch or high fructose corn syrup or any type of artificial sweetener, it's actually not a healthy food for us at all. Okay. So this is going to give you an idea of what to look for as far as a food ingredient. It's important. We don't have to memorize the whole list of different additives, because that can certainly become very overwhelming. This is just a quick overview of what to look for and then also what to avoid. So the short list of ingredients is basically when you look at a product, you want to make sure it has 10 or less ingredients. That's usually a good indication that it's a healthy food. Good words are like whole grain. If you can find products with monk fruit in them, just things that are natural foods, nothing processed. Basically words you can pronounce. A good rule of thumb is if you cannot pronounce it, it is probably a toxin. You want to make sure it's high protein, high fiber, low sugar, and low in trans fats. If we push enter, there we go. Simple things to avoid, high fructose corn syrup. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, instead of using even real sugar, they'll use high fructose corn syrup because it's less expensive. But the way our body processes it, it's really bad for us. The same with hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils, of course, trans fat. You'll find a lot of people are actually allergic to artificial colors like red dye and also the blue dye. And you would be surprised the amount of products that actually have dye in them. Any artificial flavors, if the list of ingredients is over 10, it's probably not good for you. And you want to, again, try to stay away from sugar, fructose, sucrose, lactose, MSG, hydrogenized vegetable protein, sodium caseinate. These are just a small list of ones to stay away from. Okay. So to simplify it, because that's how I like to do it. When I first went to a nutritionist years ago, I was so overwhelmed that I didn't even know where to start. And so one of the things I like to encourage everyone is just to take baby steps. And so the most simple way to eat good and eat healthy is just to eat real food. I think we can push enter and it'll give us a list. So basically nothing that's been modified. And you can see from the picture, if it comes from the earth, it's good for you. And when you buy your meats and your seafood, if you can find grass-fed or organic meats, and also with seafoods, the wild caught, because you can do a lot of research on, shrimp that is, not wild caught and just really unhealthy that is for you. So just to stay to real simple basics on that. Okay. All right. So basically, when we sit down to eat, go to a restaurant, and fortunately, even fast food restaurants, even though it's not the best choice, a lot of them do offer salads and a semi-healthier choice. So we want our salad plate to look like the top part of the screen and to really stay away from, those fast food restaurants, because once you do some research as far as the ingredients that the restaurants use, you're not going to want to put those products in your body. And again, I refer to them as products because they're really not food. Okay. All right. Next slide. All right. So what is another incentive to avoid toxins? Well, new research is uncovering the link between chemical toxins such as endocrine disruptors and obesity. Research suggests that toxins such as endocrine disruptors are contributing to the creation of new fat and to fat that is difficult to lose. This is because when our body encounters a toxin that it cannot get rid of, it stores it in a safe place where it will do a minimal amount of damage to our vital tissues, and that safe place is fat. This means that the more toxic your body is, the more fat your body needs to hold on to in order to store those toxins. Endocrine disruptors cause your body to form new fat tissue. Your endocrine system is your hormone producer. So it makes sense that toxins that change the way your body makes hormones would also change the way you process and generate fat. So basically, when we get the toxins out of our bodies will naturally, because our bodies are very smart, they will just naturally start to lose the weight. Because when the toxins are there, as the new research has found, it just holds on to that fat. So this is why you find a lot of people that maybe do not necessarily overeat, but they're still not able to lose weight. And so it's not always necessarily the calories that they're consuming, it's the type of food that they're consuming. Okay, so these are just a couple of resources. I always like to encourage members to do some research on your own, because when we kind of know the facts, then, or as to why we shouldn't eat certain foods, we're more likely to stick to it, to make that mental decision of not so much I'm not allowed to eat it, but I'm choosing not to eat that because I don't want to. And that just is a whole different dynamic in our, our brain when it comes to how we view foods. So these are some really good resources to refer to. But the last thing when it comes to your health, again, you want to keep it simple. Remember, everyone is different. Just because one program works for one person doesn't necessarily mean it works for the other person. So you have to find what works for you. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. But eventually, especially with the coaching, we try to figure out what is the best program for you. Plan and track. Most of the time, we don't realize how much food we're actually putting in our mouth until we actually write down everything, every bite of everything that we put in our mouth. And you only have to do that for a season before you become conscious of the amount of food that you're consuming and what you're consuming. Also, most important, to be kind to yourself. I think that's so important because, our self-talk, if we're degrading ourselves, that's not a healthy state of mind, So if you did great all week and then the weekend came and, you ate too many Oreos, it's okay. You stop and then you just start again, right at that moment. And you just move forward and do your best to continue to think positive for yourself. And again, it is all about progress, not perfection, because there isn't one person out there that I don't think I've ever met them, that eats perfectly all the time. We do try to do the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule, where if you eat healthy 80% of the time, 90% of the time, that 10 to 20% really is not going to affect your health in a negative way. Okay. I think that is it. I want to thank you for allowing me to share, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
So thanks, Chris. Okay, if anybody has any questions, if you have the ability to unmute your microphone, you can certainly do that and ask, or you can put a question in the chat feature, and we will get it to Chris. Chris, how difficult is it to find the foods? Do you have to shop in specialty stores all the time for finding foods that are?
No, actually you don't. What I usually encourage is just the perimeter of the grocery store, because normally that's where they have all the, the meats, the fruits, the vegetables. Usually when you go down any of the aisles, you're going to find all your packaged foods. So even though an example would be like sweet potato chips, a lot of times they have oils that are not good for you, even though a sweet potato is very good for you. Yeah. So sometimes it does take a little extra effort, to maybe make your own sweet potato chips, but you have to find, what works for you. It's better to have a sweet potato chip than it is to have, like Cheetos or something like that. So, you kind of always have a choice of good, better, or best.
That's a good way. That's a good way to put it, that we do have a choice, isn't it?
We do. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for being with us today and sharing. And Chris, thank you for sharing this great information. We look forward to having everybody with us next month. We're actually going to be talking to our health coaches next month about what they do and what health coaching is all about. So we look forward to seeing everybody at that webinar as well. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.